They say you truly know people at weddings and funerals. At my grandfather's funeral, I learned that my parents are monsters. My grandfather, Arthur, was the best man I ever knew. He was a World War II veteran, a carpenter, and the only person in my family who actually loved me unconditionally. My parents, they are what you call high-functioning narcissists. They spent my childhood chasing careers and luxury vacations, leaving me at Grandpa's house every weekend. 5 years ago, Grandpa was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. He wanted to die at home, not in a facility. I didn't hesitate. I was 24. I quit my job, broke my lease, and moved into his dusty, beautiful Victorian house to be his full-time caregiver. For 5 years, I was there. I changed the sheets. I managed the morphine. I held his hand through the night terrors. I cooked every meal. Where were my parents? They were too busy. They live 40 minutes away, but they visited maybe 3 times a year. Usually, it was for Christmas, where they would snap a selfie with Pop-Pop for Facebook to show what devoted children they were, and then leave after 20 minutes because the house smelled like old people. Grandpa wasn't stupid. He knew who was there for him. About a month before he passed, during a moment of clarity, he squeezed my hand. "OP," he wheezed. "You're a good kid. You gave up your life for me. I've made sure you're taken care of. The house, the savings, it's all yours. Mr. Henderson has the will. Don't let your mother get her claws on it." "I don't care about the money, Grandpa," I said, crying. And I meant it. He died on a Tuesday. I was holding his hand. My parents were on a cruise in the Bahamas. When I called them, my mom sighed and asked if the funeral could wait until they got back so they wouldn't lose their deposit. Fast forward to the day after the funeral. I was sitting at Grandpa's dining room table, numb with grief. The house felt empty. I was expecting Mr. Henderson, Grandpa's lawyer for 30 years, to come over for the reading of the will. Instead, my parents walked in. They didn't look sad. They looked eager. My dad was carrying a manila envelope. My mom was already walking around the living room, picking up silver candlesticks and checking the hallmarks on the bottom. "We need to talk, OP," Dad said, sitting down and placing the envelope on the table. "Where is Mr. Henderson?" I asked, wiping my eyes. "He said he has the will." "Oh, we cancelled him," Mom said breezily, sitting next to Dad. "We don't need lawyers eating up the estate fees. Besides, we found something." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Well," Dad started, putting on his serious voice, "while you were sleeping yesterday, we were going through Dad's office. We found this." He slid a single sheet of paper across the table. It wasn't the thick, bound legal document Mr. Henderson had shown me years ago. It was a piece of printer paper. Last will and testament of Arthur, last name. I scanned it. The text was simple. Too simple. "I, Arthur, being of sound mind, hereby revoke all previous wills. I leave my house, my car, and the entirety of my savings to my beloved daughter and her husband. My grandson, OP, has already received free room and board for 5 years, which constitutes his inheritance. The date at the bottom was from 3 weeks ago. I stared at the paper. The room started to spin. "This is a joke," I whispered. "It's not a joke," Mom said, reaching for a porcelain figurine. Dad obviously realized that he should keep the assets in the proper hands. "You're young, OP. You can work. We are nearing retirement. We need this house." 3 weeks ago. I looked at them, my voice rising. Grandpa was on high-dose morphine 3 weeks ago. He didn't even know what year it was. He couldn't hold a pen. I looked at the signature at the bottom. It was a shaky scrawl. It looked somewhat like Grandpa's, but off. The slant was wrong. "He had a good day," Dad shrugged. "He called us over. We signed as witnesses." "You witnessed a will that leaves everything to you." I screamed. "That's a conflict of interest. That's illegal." "It's what he wanted." Mom snapped, her mask slipping. "He realized you were just leeching off him, living here rent-free. He wanted to reward us for being his family. I wiped his ass for 5 years." I roared, standing up and slamming my hands on the table. "You were on a cruise." "Language, Dad warned. "Look, You have a week to pack your things. We are putting the house on the market next month. We've already called a realtor." I looked at the paper. I looked at their greedy, smiling faces. They genuinely thought I was stupid. They thought I was just going to pack my bags and leave. They didn't know that I had security cameras in the office. And they definitely didn't know that Mr. Henderson had visited Grandpa the day before this alleged new will was signed. I grabbed the fake will. "I'm keeping this."
Fine, Dad laughed.
"Frame it. Just be out by Friday." I walked out of the room. I didn't go to my bedroom to pack. I went to my car. I was going to Mr. Henderson's office. Mr. Henderson's office looked exactly like a law firm should. Mahogany desks, walls lined with leather-bound books, and the smell of old paper. Mr. Henderson himself was 70 years old, sharp as a tack, and had been my grandfather's fishing buddy since the 80s. When I burst into his office, sweating and clutching the crumpled piece of printer paper, he didn't ask for an appointment. He told his secretary to hold his calls and poured me a glass of water. "Breathe, son," he said. "Now, tell me why your parents called my office this morning claiming they were handling the estate internally." I slid the paper across the desk. They found a new will. They said Grandpa signed it 3 weeks ago. "They're kicking me out, Mr. Henderson. They said I have until Friday." Mr. Henderson put on his reading glasses. He picked up the paper with 2 fingers, as if it were contaminated waste. He read it in silence. His eyebrows knit together, and then his face turned a shade of red I had never seen before. He tossed the paper back onto the desk. "This isn't a will," he scoffed. "This is a grocery list of crimes." "It's fake, right?" I asked, my voice trembling. I told them he couldn't hold a pen. "It's worse than fake," Mr. Henderson said, standing up to unlock the fireproof safe behind his desk. "It's legally incompetent. First of all, look at the witnesses." He pointed to the bottom of the page. "Witnessed by Mom's name and Dad's name." "In this state," Mr. Henderson explained, his voice low and dangerous, "a beneficiary of a will cannot serve as a witness to that will. It creates an immediate conflict of interest. Even if your grandfather had signed this, which he clearly didn't, the fact that the only witnesses are the people getting the money renders the bequest void. A first-year law student knows that." He pulled a thick, blue-bound document from his safe. He placed it heavily on the desk. "This," he said, tapping the cover, "is Arthur's last will and testament. We updated it 6 months ago. We videotaped the signing. We had 2 independent witnesses and a notary. He was lucid, he was specific, and he was adamant." He opened the folder. Article 4. I leave my entire estate, including real property and financial assets, to my grandson, O.P., in gratitude for his years of unwavering care. Article 5. I intentionally omit my daughter and son-in-law from this will for reasons known to them. I read the words and felt a massive weight lift off my chest. Grandpa had protected me. He knew they would try this. So, we just show them this, and they go away. I asked. Mr. Henderson sat back down and tented his fingers. We could. We could file this with the probate court tomorrow, override their little piece of paper, and you get the house. But there is a bigger issue here, O.P. He picked up the fake will again. This is forgery, he said. Attempting to file a forged instrument with the court is a felony. Attempting to defraud an estate is a felony. Your parents didn't just try to trick you, they committed a crime. I thought about the smirk on my dad's face when he told me to pack. I thought about my mom calculating the value of the candlesticks while Grandpa was barely cold in the ground. I have more proof, I said. I pulled out my phone. I didn't tell them this, but I installed a security camera in Grandpa's office last year because I was worried about him falling. It records 24/7. Mr. Henderson's eyes widened. Do you have footage from the date on this fake will? I checked it in the car, I said. On the date they claim he signed this, Grandpa never left his bed. My parents never entered the house. The only person who went into the office that day was the hospice nurse to get a book. Mr. Henderson smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was a shark smile. So, he said, they forged a document, witnessed it themselves illegally, and we have video proof they weren't even in the building when it allegedly happened. He leaned forward. OP, we are going to file for probate immediately, but we aren't going to warn them. We are going to let them try to file this fake will first. Once they submit that document to a judge and swear under oath that it's real, they've walked into a trap they can't get out of. What happens then? I asked. Then, Mr. Henderson said, picking up his phone, they don't just lose the house. They go to prison. I thought about family comes first. I thought about the 5 years I spent alone with Grandpa. Do it, I said. Friday morning arrived with a grey, drizzly sky. It was the deadline my parents had set for me to vacate the property. They didn't just show up to take the keys. They brought a U-Haul. They intended to start looting the house immediately. I sat in the living room, drinking coffee from Grandpa's favorite mug. I had texted my dad earlier, "I'm ready. Come over." When they walked in, they looked triumphant. My mom was actually wearing a fur coat, which felt grotesquely out of place. My dad had a smug grin plastered across his face. "Well," Dad said, clapping his hands, "I see you haven't packed much. No matter. We can throw your things in garbage bags. We have a crew coming at noon to start renovations." "You're really doing this?" I asked quietly. "You're kicking me out of the home I've lived in for 5 years? Based on that piece of paper?" "It's not a piece of paper," Mom scoffed, walking over to the mantelpiece and picking up the antique clock. "It's a legal document. It's what he wanted. Now, hand over the keys. OP, don't make this difficult." "I just want to be clear," I said, standing up. "You are asserting that Grandpa signed that will 3 weeks ago? And that you witnessed it?" Yes, we've been over this," Dad snapped, holding out his hand. "Give me the keys." "I can't do that," I said. "Then I'm calling the sheriff to have you removed." Dad yelled, pulling out his phone. "No need." A deep voice boomed from the kitchen. "We are already here." My parents jumped. Mr. Henderson walked into the living room, holding a thick leather folder. Behind him walked 2 police officers and a detective. My dad's face went pale. "Mr. Henderson? What is this? This is a private family matter." "It ceased to be a private matter when you attempted to defraud an estate and committed forgery," Mr. Henderson said, his voice like gravel. "Forgery?" Mom squeaked. "That's a lie." "Is it?" Mr. Henderson opened the folder. "I have here the true last will and testament of Arthur, video recorded and notarized 6 months ago. It leaves everything to OP. But more importantly, I have this." He pulled out a USB drive. "OP has security cameras in the office," Mr. Henderson explained, watching the color drain from my mother's face. "We reviewed the footage from the date on your new will. Arthur never left his bed. You two never entered the house. In fact, GPS data from your phones, which the detective pulled, shows you were at a casino 40 miles away at the time you claim to have witnessed this signature. That's an invasion of privacy." Dad stammered, backing away. "No," the detective stepped forward. "That's evidence of a felony. Mr. and Mrs., last name. You are under arrest for forgery, attempted grand larceny, and fraud." "You can't do this." Mom shrieked as the officer grabbed her wrist. She looked at me, her eyes wild. "Up. Tell them to stop. We are your parents. We did this for the family." "You did it for yourselves," I said, my voice steady. "Grandpa knew you would. That's why he protected me." "I'll sue you." Dad roared as they clicked the handcuffs on him. "I'll take everything." "You'll take nothing," Mr. Henderson said calmly. "And considering you just tried to enforce a forged document to evict a lawful heir, I imagine the judge will be very interested in your character." I watched as they were led out of the house. They weren't walking with the swagger they had 5 minutes ago. They were hunched over, defeated, shoved into the back of squad cars while the neighbors watched from their porches. The aftermath. It has been 6 months. My parents are currently awaiting trial. Because the evidence is overwhelming, the video footage was the nail in the coffin, their lawyer is begging for a plea deal. They are looking at 2 to 3 years in prison, plus a permanent criminal record. Grandpa's house is officially mine. I didn't sell it. I kept it exactly how he liked it, mostly. I did finally paint the guest room a color other than beige. Sometimes, I sit on the back porch and look at the garden Grandpa taught me to tend. I miss him every day, but I feel a strange sense of peace knowing that, in the end, he got the last laugh. He knew exactly who they were, and he made sure that his legacy went to the one person who actually cared about him, not his wallet. The U-Haul my parents rented sat in the driveway for 2 days before the company came to retrieve it. It cost them extra fees. I hope they enjoy the bill.